And there we are, live. All right, Caroline, what do you got?
I'm just gradually getting back to, well, I had all these, Bryce helped me inordinately. I think was it Monday, Bryce? Because
I don't remember when that was, but yeah.
I've just been having struggles with, is it my internet provider? Is it, my laptop? Is it the way the server's set up? And ultimately it turned out that I set up my own server because I was having so many problems with the court server. Well, that went down, but I didn't know it. I couldn't tell it went down, except Bryce helped me get in and figure out that even though Amazon said it was running, was it? So how does that?
Yeah, that was a weird one because the light sail instance was fine, but like Docker had just stopped. Like nothing on Docker was running. And the only time I've ever seen that is on like my personal computer. If I update DocAssembly, or if I update Docker, Docker will automatically like shut down all of the containers.
Update
but I don't
Docker,
think
not DocAssembly.
Docker specifically, yeah. So that's like if you run, if it's like apt get update, like will sometimes like bring in Docker installs, and like Docker will shut down and restart and not restart any of your containers. But I didn't mention that then because I'm fairly certain like you weren't doing that. It's not.
No,
it's
I
not
did
a thing that you
update
just do,
DocAssembly last week. I mean, because that's the thing is, I had updated it because I had just pulled Quentin's up to code because I'm trying to get that edited, and then I was having all kinds of. The thing is, I had so many multiple problems. Like I couldn't get onto our development server on my MiFi, but I could get. I mean, the phone could get. I was just like all kinds of unrelated things all happening at once. It was driving me crazy. So I've resolved almost everything except I couldn't get onto I could get onto the court production server with my mobile hotspot. When I say my mobile hotspot, connecting my laptop through the mobile hotspot. When I was at the library, when I was on somebody else's I don't know what the opposite of a mobile hotspot is. When you're just on the internet, on Wi-Fi, if you have something like Comcast or Xfinity or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I could get on at the library. I think Quentin said he could get on. But when I was trying to connect to the development server, DocAssembly server, which should have been set up exactly the same way as a production, I couldn't get on through the hotspot. And then I was troubleshooting. I mean, literally, it was like 4 hours Tuesday morning. And ultimately, then I couldn't even get online. I couldn't even get onto the internet. No, I guess it was Wednesday morning. Because Tuesday, when I was at the court, I could get onto them, but I was going through the court's internet, thing, and they blocked my own server. So I asked IT for permission for that, never heard back. But then it turned out yesterday, after more troubleshooting, now they're saying I have to go get a new SIM card for my hotspot. So I've actually booked setting up the kind of static internet you have to your house. But it's a concern because, I mean, if it is the mobile hotspot, okay, I can't get on the development server, we want to make sure that our users, if they're using a mobile hotspot, can get onto our server. So I still kind of want to get to the bottom of that. I don't understand why that would be.
So to clarify, you had said, and Teams is now not loading anything for me. But you had sent me a screenshot of like it looked like the courts like network was preventing you from accessing because of malware. Is that what you're talking about? That's the mobole hotspot? Like, is it?
No,
that was where you're from? That was a different thing. Okay.
That is the going through the court's internet, right? So that screenshot is just the court blocking access to my personal DocAssembly server.
Okay.
So that's not the hotspot. The hotspot is being on my laptop, connecting to the internet through the mobile hotspot, trying to get to DocAssembly dev.akcourts.gov and getting that message. Usually if a website is down, you get it, if you can't get to the website.
Yeah.
And then it says, check your internet connection, check your proxy something or other. You know, there's 3 steps, none of which it is. And, you know, I don't always, your first line of customer support with a lot of these internet providers don't know a whole lot more than I know. And so I don't always trust what they say, but they say, oh, some .gov sites block access by mobile hotspots. So that's something that I want to chase down. I don't think they know enough at the core IT people about, because they'd have to go into the Amazon Lightsail instance to block it, right? Or would it just be something about domain control?
Could
I mean,
you
where
do
would
that at the domain level, David? Do you know? Like, I don't know if the DNS routing knows enough to be like, this is a hotspot connection.
It's like
It's
a
just
robots.txt where you block people coming, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there are a few places you could. The way you would be able to be sure that that's the case is in Lightsail, you have that, like you'll have the static IP assigned to like the DocAssembly server, which is just like those 4 numbers. If you copy paste, if you use those 4 numbers instead of like dev courts or dev at .akcourts, whatever .gov, if you use those 4 numbers instead, you should be able to get to the server.
Oh, but Quentin said when you say get to the server
through the hotspot. So if you're able to, if you do the 4 numbers / like start interview
you're
or
talking
whatever.
about the IP addresses, the 4 different IP addresses.
Yes, yeah, the IP address. Or if you go straight to the IP address and not the like domain name, then you're right. Like it should be something else, because the only thing that the only thing that like the IT folks would have control of that you wouldn't would be the domain routing. And so if there's some weird way that like the DNS is not giving you the correct, it's not giving mobile hotspots the correct address, it would be there. But you're right, like everything else is on Amazon, like Amazon's Lightsail stuff, like their IT folks shouldn't know anything else about it, and that.
Right, and
the only like concrete thing I can think of how to test this.
What I'm wondering is, I can't remember because I tried using the IP addresses last week, but I posted to DocAssembly Slack, and I think Quentin said something about they weren't secure. I said it wasn't secure. I think that's what my memory is, that it wasn't secure, or you couldn't get to it.
Right.
Do you remember, Quentin?
Yeah, well, so the SSL certificate, it's tied to the domain name.
Gotcha.
So when you visit it with some other domain name or no domain name, it doesn't try to.
Yeah. So that's why it's not secure, but that's not the issue. Right. The issue is if you can get to it. It's okay if it's not secure, if you can get to it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like a name mismatch, basically.
Okay. All right. I still haven't, well, now I don't get any internet through the mobile hotspot at all. So after this, I'm going to go over to the place and get a new SIM card and see what happens now. But it's just a concern to me. What if our users are using mobile hotspots? And I can't imagine, I know I've done different things on the DocAssembly setup for development and production, because you don't need to develop on production. So I don't think I've pushed everything, all the packages there, but it should be, that should just be on me, not the way it's set up. So, and then the other thing, Quentin, or did you guys put it in the documentation? You showed me when I first set up DocAssembly servers for Mass Legal Help. You could set up an account with an uptime, downtime thing that would notify you if it was down.
Yep, we use a monitoring service. There's like a ton of different ones. I'm on my phone now, so I can't remember.
Yeah. No, but
Robot, maybe?
So, yeah.
That might be the one it was called. Uptime Robot. Check that out.
And do you think, so in that instance that Bryce was saying, it's really weird that Lightsail said it was running and it wasn't and Docker wasn't running. Do you think the uptime, downtime site would catch that?
It would. You just have to have it set up to check the right thing. So like if you check it to see
That's it.
if the
Uptime
web
robot.
page returns the right result.
Okay. Bryce, is that in our
Then-
documentation, uptime robot?
A good question. If it's not, that's a pretty simple thing I can add.
I thought I saw it there, but then I was so distracted by the 17 other different things that were happening that I can't remember, but I'll make sure I set up that for us. Okay. All right. That's my, and that's my thing. So,
All right, that was a thing. Bryce,
Wrap it up. It doesn't look like it's in the documentation. I can add it really quick. It's a pretty straightforward thing to just be like, it's good to monitor whether your server is still up. Here's how you do, or like
yeah.
use this service.
And then you get notified, right? So that's very cool.
Yes, yeah. I don't know. Quentin knows the exact details, but it probably just sends you an email or something. It's like, hey, it checks, I don't know, every hour, maybe 30 minutes or something. It's like, hey, can't access it or something. So, yeah. So I've been doing a lot of paper stuff, a lot of e-filing stuff. E-filing stuff I am feeling fairly behind on, if anything, just because trying to do stuff with Java is slow. But I'm finally making some progress with a lot of not interesting things and also not ECF5, but a lot of things that need to be done in order to make sure that the Java stuff still works in like a year and we can upgrade when we need to for security reasons. So that should be all wrapped up, and I am adding some trying to add some small features that will help Matt with the appearance stuff. And then I'll start ECF5. Well, hopefully I'll get to start it sometime today.
all right, cool. Quentin,
All right, so I've just been wrapping up all the Rate My PDF paper stuff, some Rate My PDF website. That was a busy week for that. And now I'm working on some of the Weaver features that are relatively small that were kind of in the backlog. So like we were really close to being able to have you use the I'm feeling lucky button in the Weaver. We had done most of the work for that. I just didn't want to try to release that before LitCon. So I think that's probably something that I'm going to finish up in the next week, at least like get the equivalent experience that we get when you run it on a random form from Form Explorer to let you do that rather than the Weaver interactively. And try to figure out how much time to spend on that. The next thing that I would probably pivot to is our website. I think we now have a really clear plan for what we're going to do with the Core Forms Online website and how to migrate that to make it easier for us to maintain over time. So that is something I'll pivot to maybe after getting like a really small MVP feature of the Weaver. I'm feeling lucky button feature. That's pretty much it. And maybe try to get some more backlog stuff, bug fixes, their small features. Our issue list is just getting bigger. So,
yeah,
that's it.
always gets bigger. There's some question about how quickly the list gets bigger, how quickly things get off. It's a black hole of to-do list.
At least I don't think of it as a to-do list necessarily.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's true. Yes, backlog is much better. All right, cool. I just wanted to memorialize for our viewing public what a large amount of work Quentin and Bryce have done this weekend getting the paper ready for our presentation at IC. The initials always escape me. So, yeah. Getting the paper ready. Good job. I've worked a little on that, mostly on grant stuff and some other stuff relating to some other presentation stuff I have to do. And we'll next week probably have time to revisit our LLM improvements to Form Fixer, which will then hopefully be able to be folded into the I'm feeling lucky. Yeah, that's that. All right. Anything else? stand-up-y stuff.